There is a fifth dimension.
A dimension of sound.
Damn it, Frank! We tell him to be quiet. I spilled my hot cup of Uranus again.
A dimension of sight.
Hey, Arch. I'm gonna sock you in the puss.
A dimension of mind.
Man, Adams, is that you?
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
Hella bloopers this time round, I tell you what, eh?
Oh yeah. What did he keep saying? I'll have you know, or
In a matter of speaking.
yeah, in a matter of speaking.
Yeah,
In a matter of speaking.
I never know how to start these things.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel.
Smash that
Don't forget
like
to
button.
Smash the like button. Destroy the subscribe button.
Make sweet, sweet love to the like button. And Rod Serling will come and bless you with a Twilight Zone trip that includes an all-expense paid trip to wherever the fuck this guy is. Yeah, exactly.
It's been so long since I've had to do that
Oh.
intro. I think if I had to do one now, I'd just be like, "Hey, how's it going?"
That's right. Our sexy Jake Open, our sexy Jake Open is welcoming you back to the Fifth Dimension, a Twilight Zone podcast.
How you doing?
Yeah, how you guys doing? As you can see, we are one short on our poop deck tonight. The affable Nick from Movie Emporium is otherwise occupado mainly because of snow in Florida. That's right, snow in Florida.
Yes, in a manner of speaking.
Oh man, not just in a not just in a matter of speaking. He's got to damn the torpedoes of competition and full speed ahead out of there or something.
Yeah, all what she said.
Oh man, how you doing, Jake?
I'm good. It's cold.
It's cold here too, but it's unusually cold for you, so
Yeah, it is unusually cold, but I know it's much. I'm pretty sure you said you're like 50 degrees lower than I am right now.
Well, actually we were, but I think I looked at the temperature before we got on, and I think we're actually at the same temperature as of this moment. But yesterday and the day before,
wow,
we had like negative 20. Oh yeah, it's freaking balmy. I'm gonna wear my bikini.
You're negative 20? No, I'm 24, not negative 24.
No, we're 24 right now. Yesterday and the day before, we were in like the mid 20 or negative 20s. So.
Oh yeah, we were up in the 30s.
And on the subject of frosty bitches, this episode.
Very frosty bitch.
Oh man, we are talking episode. What is it? 147 of the Twilight Zone. It's season 5, episode 24. What is it? Sounds and Silences, and that's plural on both. Although I'm not 100% sure why.
Yeah. It makes sounds, and it is not silent enough.
No, it absolutely isn't silent enough.
Make some sounds.
Production code is 2631. Original air date is April 3rd, 1964. Directed by the affable Richard Donner and written by the otherly affable for God's sake, by
Wilt Chamberlain.
Who had quite a way with the ladies, which this guy did not. Oh my God, we're off to a banger start here. Written by Rod Serling. Oh my God.
How do you have such talent on display here? Even the main guy, John McGiver. I've seen him and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Thing.
It's a really like Penny Singleton, the chick that Penny Singleton, who played Roswell G. Flemington's wife, was in a series of like a serial set of movies called Blondie in the 30s through the 50s. So and John McGiver, what was he in? I can
John McGiver. I mean, it was John McGiver. He was
he's that guy with the Mid-Atlantean accent.
All kinds of stuff. This is like The Man in the Raincoat, of course. Love in the Afternoon. I Married a Woman.
Oh my God.
I'd like to hear what the 2024 remake of that would be. Once Upon a Horse. It's just called Once Upon a Horse ... The The Gazebo. Oh, Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's probably
Ah,
what
there you go. There you
most
go.
of us know him from. I've seen him in other stuff. I don't know. He has a very his face is very what's the word I'm looking for? Like recognizable.
Oh,
Stands
rotund.
out.
Oh, yeah, rotund or recognizable.
Yeah, rotund. Yeah, that's I like that better. That sounds much more cultured.
I actually
Um,
think I remember seeing him in Manchurian Candidate, so
was he in the Manchurian
yeah,
Candidate?
that's what it says here. He was also in the first of a long-running series of popular commercials for American Express.
Oh, maybe that's where I saw him. I don't know.
Possibly.
Don't leave home without it. Oh yeah,
Uh,
the Manchurian Candidate. Okay, I guess he was in that.
yeah.
I really
Um,
thought I didn't know it was 62.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's a much more interesting thing than what we're going to be talking about tonight,
yeah,
I
we could just
think.
talk about his filmography the whole time.
Oh,
It'd be good.
yeah.
I mean, I'm really interested in the horse one, Once Upon a Horse.
I'm interested in man's favorite sport, question mark?
Yeah, yeah, he has a questionable filmography here.
But a good kind of questionable filmography,
Bachelor
right?
in Paradise
Ooh,
with
I
Bob Hope.
mean, grr.
Yeah.
He also graduated from the Jesuit-run Regis High School in Manhattan in 1932.
Oh, wow. Well,
I
yeah.
mean,
He
wow.
died at 61 of a heart attack in September 1975.
Well, considering the way he was yelling in this episode,
Hmm.
if he yelled like that in any other or any other movies or episodes he was in, I'm pretty sure that he was probably headed for not such great things.
Yeah. Holy crap, are all these his kids? There's a picture. It says McGiver with his wife Ruth and children on Christmas, and it's like it looks like a fucking football team. How many kids is he? 10.
Oh my
He had
God.
10 children, including actor Boris McGiver. Yeah,
Wow.
Boris. 10 kids.
I mean, his last name was McGiver. He was
He was
just
McGiving a
that
lot.
kind of guy.
Come home every night. You ready for this McGiving, baby?
Oh man.
Well, I mean, how I can't talk. I got
No,
seven, so
that's okay though. You don't have 10 and your last name's
no, I
not
don't have to.
McGiver.
No, not. Um, but yeah, and what I was the pedigree here is rather high, and I usually kind of reserve my thoughts, like my not final thoughts, but like my thoughts on the episode for later on. But we're mixing it up here. We're getting crazy. I didn't like this.
Well, okay, well first off, do you remember seeing this ever?
No, I don't remember seeing it this afternoon when I watched it. I heard you watching it when we got on here or
Yeah.
listening to it. So I
Well,
was like, thank
I was
God she's watched it because it's already ejecting itself from my consciousness.
I was rewatching it. We
You had
found
to
out.
because you forgot.
Oh God, yeah. Well, and Nick is dealing with like power outages because of the snow that's happening down in Florida right now. So, our mighty leader is not with us, but we will strive to do the best we can to talk about sounds and silences and silences and sounds.
You will. I will strive to do.
Same. But I don't remember seeing this one, and I'm not sure if it's just like you say, because it is forgettable.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to it as an episode. But it's also I don't remember, like, I'm trying to think back on the marathons, and I genuinely don't remember seeing this one. The behind the scenes
Uh,
stories are actually not that there's a ton of them, but one in particular, and I think it's probably the thing this episode is known for, at least according to the trivia. But first we should probably have you do the opening narration to kind of get us in the mood.
oh, yeah. Oops, hang on. Something just popped up on my screen. What is this? Oh, it's doing things.
I was gonna say you look fine.
Oh, well, thank you. No, it's my stream deck that I don't ever use. It's asking to, what is this? File and use. Okay, cancel. I don't need to be updating things while I'm using other things. Okay, anyway, cut that, Nick. Um, opening narration. Yes, of course. Holy crap, he had a lot to say.
He
I
did.
mean, there had to be something said in this episode, I guess. So,
And before you get into it, I have to say, you know how Rod had those episodes where it felt like there was someone he knew just because of the way the descriptions go?
oh, like
Like
he's talking about a very specific person.
right, and it was someone that he obviously had no respect for. Like there was that one what was the episode where he was like basically he was pulling the Grinch on them where it's like, he smells like a boot and
Oh yeah, like
is
he's mad at him.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
this
kind of get
definitely.
yeah, the way this is laid out, it feels like that level of episode.
Like he was like this and this. You fucker.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you know. It's definitely, I feel you there. Okay, so let's see. Opening narration.
Do it, do it.
This is Roswell G. Flemington. 220 pounds of gristle, lung tissue, and sound decibels. He is, as you have perceived, a noisy man, one of a breed who substitutes volume for substance, sound for significance, and shouting to cover up the readily apparent phenomenon that he is nothing more than an overweight and aging perennial sea scout whose noise making is in inverse ratio to his competence and to his character. That was a sentence. But soon, our would-be admiral of the fleet will embark on another voyage. This one is an uncharted and twisting stream that heads for a distant port called the Twilight Zone.
And
But that
you
was
were eloquent.
one fucking sentence. There were no breaks between. He is, as you perceived, a noisy man, one of a breed who substitutes volume for substance, sound for significance, and shouting to cover up the readily apparent phenomenon that he is nothing more than an overweight, aging perennial sea scout whose noise making is inverse ratio to his competence and to his character. Damn.
Damn, you've got some lung capacity there, my friend. You could become like a swimmer or something. Deep sea diver.
Surprise. What year is it? Oh, I think I finally hit it. Was it 18? No, 18 or I quit smoking in 2018 or 19.
Oh, nice.
One of those. I can't remember. It was right around the pandemic.
Well,
And they
rock on,
say it
man.
takes 7 full years for all the adverse effects of smoking to like leave your body. So I'm right there.
Woohoo!
Have my lung capacity
Congratulations.
back.
And we're
45,
celebrating on this episode specifically.
I guess.
Oh man. Well, to give a little bit of background on this episode for those like us that hadn't seen it previously, Roswell G. Flemington is I guess the boss, maybe, or the founder.
Yeah, he's like the boss of like is it a model company? Like a ship model? That's what I
Yeah.
kept seeing. I'm trying to remember.
It is. I think there is a sign that says something about model
Yeah,
boats.
like
Um,
little boats, I guess that they make.
yeah,
Maybe they
yeah,
put them in glass bottles.
quite possibly.
I don't know. We
Um,
never really see what they do there. It's an office.
yeah, it doesn't really.
He's
I
big on
can see.
boats.
I can see where they're like this guy is obsessed. He sleeps in a hammock. He's got the sound of water. Like he's surrounded by noise. He's got the whole admiral uniform. He must have been in the Navy at some point, but that's kind of an unknown quantity. And all of this information that you're met with out front, it does lend itself to some extent to the story, but it really doesn't add that much.
Nothing at all.
No.
This was the most. It's not the worst episode we've ever watched, in my opinion, but it is quite possibly one of the most nothing burger episodes ever. And we've had nothing burger episodes before, but this one like is literally like this I'm getting zilch from this. Nothing.
Yeah. It's like they took a whole bunch of random desperate pieces and just kind of tossed them into a blender. You've got the guy that is like obsessed with the ocean boats, the whole nine yards. Like he's like the hair club guy. He's like not only a client, he's also the president, you know? Like
Yeah.
that's his guy. All of
What's his
his
obsession with it being loud all the time? They never really.
They do a little bit. Like
Oh, I missed
apparently
that.
he goes off, so he's got his wife, his long-suffering wife, who apparently he didn't marry according to her. She was piped in like in a way that you pipe in sound to a room.
With
But
McGiver's pipes
yeah. Yeah, exactly. She fell under the McGiver spell.
McGiver curse.
But basically she gives a massive amount of exposition, or maybe he did, basically saying that his mom required it to be quiet all the time. Like the slightest creak on the floor, the sound of a tap, sound of snoring, any of that stuff set her off. And so
I
it
don't remember
became
any of that.
uh,
Like no shit. I swear I watched this episode. I do not remember and out. Usually, like you'll say something like, "Oh yeah, 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 okay, yeah, 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 yeah. I remember that." No, I don't remember a word of that.
I don't honestly though I don't blame you because so him and his wife who is named Lydia
Hmm.
throughout the entire so they like Fleming comes out and he plays the Navy's anthem or their hymn. There's a bunch of like kind of goofy office workers that throw darts at his pitcher and they're hilarious. They're honestly probably the best part of the entire episode. They're all quite a they know how to crack a joke, but his wife also works there or comes to visit or lives there as well. And she's like she's had enough, she's leaving. But then she comes back and she's gone again, and then she comes back and she's gone again. And when you
Yeah,
have her on camera like those three times, it is hard to keep track of which one is which, and it's like, why don't you just go?
and every time she says she's leaving,
Yeah.
well, she leaves, but she comes back. It's like an abusive relationship.
Oh, it is. Very much. Well, they've been
I,
married for 20 years. I mean,
yeah,
there's got to be something beyond the basics there.
I don't. The guy like listens to like records of ship sounds. This is the one of the Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor, and then like a ship sinking. I'm like, what? Who who is making? I mean, nowadays, yeah, probably there's probably something like that on like YouTube. But back then, who was pressing records with sounds like this?
There were only 100 made, though. So, you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, geez.
um,
That
so,
I think you're onto something though. Oh, I know we're
no,
going to
go
talk
ahead.
more about it, but I think you're absolutely onto something. I think this was a character of a person that Rod Serling knew, and this was just solely for him to lampoon some asshole, probably somebody in Hollywood that pissed him off, like a exec or something. And that's all this. I mean, I cannot. There's nothing else I gain from this. I can only see that it's literally has this character to be a punching bag, like in the way of like just putting him up there and like making the most despicable, worst, annoying, shitty person possible. And nothing really, I mean, something happens to him, but nothing of consequence really happens like that grabs you. It's just showing him being this terrible person. So
Yeah.
I would be really interested in who that was because I think that's on the nose right there.
Yeah, I would agree generally. There is some interesting stuff behind it. Apparently, this episode was let me find it here quick. Actually, so there was a script entitled so I say that it feels like it was based off of a person, but in 1961 there was a script called The Sound of Silence that was submitted to producers and it was rejected. Um so then Rod Serling came back a couple years later, ran across the script again, and produced it for this. And the original author sued Rod Serling for plagiarism because of similarities to the plot and was awarded $3,500 in damage. Yeah. So
Big
then,
money.
because of the ongoing litigation, this was shown once.
Yeah, in
And then it,
84 SD.
yeah. And then, yeah, it came back out as a holiday special presentation that was three episodes, or three
Man,
episodes in a thing. So,
think about fans of the Twilight Zone in '84. Because in '84, Twilight Zone, while it hadn't been on for, what, 20 years at that point,
yeah.
it was still very relevant. I mean, I was live in '84. Twilight Zone was very well known. It's still relevant. It's in syndication. But, like, think, oh, this is the never before seen episode 20 years later. And now you get to see it tonight. And you're like, oh, this is going to be great. What was so scandalous? What was so hardcore that they couldn't show it on the Twilight Zone? What? I'd be so pissed in 1984 had I watched this
Oh yeah.
all
Well,
hyped
and
up for
lost
that.
media back in the day versus lost media now. Not to say that there isn't still a lot of it, but yeah, if you were, you didn't have all this stuff to kind of ruin the spoilers for you. All you had was, the fact that this was a lost episode and it only
Hmm.
aired once, and so
It only that that was probably enough. It aired that once. That's
yeah,
enough, right?
I would agree. So, some of the other points about this episode, just for reference, so he's very loud. He's always surrounded by noise. And I mean, you can relate to that in
Well,
modern day, just as far as
yeah.
like, we're kind of surrounded by noise. Um, but
Well,
all of a
real
sudden,
quick,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I see up here it says original air date April 3rd, 1964. So it didn't air then?
No, it did. It only aired that once,
Oh,
and
it only
then
aired once then on the original run. Okay, okay,
right,
I got you, I got you, I got you. I
and
thought you were
then
saying like they were gonna air it because I did see how it was in litigation and like before they could air it, they pulled it. So it okay, it aired that one time. Okay, I
right,
got you.
and then because of ongoing litigation, it was like pulled
Never, yeah,
from yeah. So that
syndication,
that's
which was the
that's
only way you could watch it back then.
oh
You
yeah.
didn't have VHS and DVD and streaming and all that.
I mean, to some extent, well, I suppose if you got into the 70s and stuff, there was, you'd have reruns of different things as they kind of went along just to fill airtime.
Well, yeah, like
Um,
syndication and stuff like that, like just showing up like as reruns,
yeah.
but like not like you couldn't watch it whenever you wanted. I mean,
No.
you're talking the 80s, really, before VHS or Betamax or something was like widespread. And even then, it was, you know, whatever you were getting at your local video store.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anyway,
No, absolutely. So some of the other stuff, so obviously he's always surrounded by noise. All of a sudden, every single noise to him is like ear piercing. So like the sound of faucets, footsteps, like whole nine yards. Everything is just like if you're wearing a set of headphones and the speaker is cranked to 11. And he's
did we ever get a reason as to why? Not like I know it's Twilight Zone, not why, but like what he did to like spur that on?
It's kind of assumed because I think like he starts having the issue with noise after his wife becomes fed up and kind of leaves him. But I think that's
Yeah.
also when the story came out about the fact that his mom had this, whether he called it neuroses, whether it was something with her ears, whatever caused it, like it was sort of like he was dealing with it. And
Mm-hmm.
in theory, it's a mental thing, like it was brought back up and then he's dealing with it. I would guess, maybe.
Maybe she was like a gypsy and she put a curse on him.
He kind of deserved it. He was just the most pompous dick. I
Yeah,
don't
he was not a good person. That's why I'm
know.
pretty sure that I would love to know who that was based on.
Yeah, I would too. Or so, even if it wasn't Serling, it was someone who maybe the original writer of the story was somebody who just I don't know. But yeah, I guess the opening narration that could have just been Serling kind of going, well, here's this character. Who do I know in real life? Ah, Jim
Harvey Weinstein.
McGee. Yeah, exactly. That damn Alan Smithy.
Yeah,
Um,
that son of a bitch.
so then he goes to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist basically talks him down and says, "Okay, you can control this." And then he's able to, like, he gets into another fight with his wife. All of a sudden, she starts to be tuned out, but then he loses all ability to be able to hear anything.
Yeah, except for like his own internal self, because like when he screams or says something, he hears it normal, which makes sense. I like how the psychiatrist pretty much tells him, "Man up and stop being a bitch. You can deal with this."
Yeah.
He doesn't really do anything. He's just like, he even shows the psychiatrist. He's like, "You can control this. Just go take care of it." Like that was psychiatry in the 60s.
Well,
Man,
it's kind of the equivalent of, well, just go rub some dirt in that,
yeah,
gaping flesh
some
wound,
Robitussin.
Yeah, exactly. What was the one from my big fat Greek wedding?
The Windex.
Windex.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
spray some Windex on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Get some tussin and rub it in. Throw some dirt on it. Stop being a little bitch.
But yeah, as far as I mean, we're kind of speeding through this, but really there's not a lot to talk
There's
about. I
not.
mean,
Right. So the ranking
um
is
yeah. So I mean, at the end, because you can't hear anything,
why
he
is his apartment shaking? Is it supposed to be just because it's that loud?
I think it's
Did you
supposed
notice
to
that?
represent his screaming, like it's in his
Well, that
mind
was
because it
before that. Before that, when he was just before he realized he couldn't hear anything, he like turns it on and he's just walking around. And it's like when he's realizing that, oh, why is the record not coming on? Everything in the background's like shaking, like wildly, like a Star Trek set. It's like all over the place. And I was like, what the fuck? And I mean, I knew what was going on at that point. I was
yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah.
he's not going to hear anything. I was like, is it supposed to be his sound system? That record player is so fucking loud that it's like shaking all the shit in this room.
That's what I'm assuming. Like
Like it
that
was like a
that's
fucking earthquake was happening, and he's just like, "What's going on, guys?" Like Jesus Christ, what kind of like stereo system did he have in the '60s that was going to do that?
he went for hardcore. He was actually
Yeah,
the original audio guy for, the big
yeah.
metal shows.
That wasn't no pioneer. That was
No, that's
he
for
got
sure.
bozed.
They are the best ones for the job, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm assuming it's probably just like it was supposed to be, you cranked everything up, turned up the amps and the tweakers and all of the rest and. he would have been partying down, ears bleeding, whole 9 yards if he could have actually heard something. So
Oh, yeah. And then it's over.
yeah,
Didn't it end right there?
basically, so
What are
he
you doing?
panicked. He opens his windows and begs for noise because he cannot hear
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, yeah,
Did
it just
he
says that
jump?
his apartment vibrates from the stereo sound. So yeah, it's the stereo that's just that powerful.
Damn.
Yeah.
Hell of a stereo.
Well, back in the day they just made things better.
Yeah, I guess he had one of them big box floor models.
Exactly. He had it wired up special to really annoy his workers.
I just want to say I have one of those in my living room, like well, not antique, I guess, but it's like probably from that era, the 50s, 60s, like big floor model record players.
Nice.
They don't get that loud.
Oh, you mean the Twilight Zone lied to us?
They don't get that loud.
Well,
Hella treble,
shit.
but they ain't shaking shit. Anyway,
Um, I will
gotta
say, oh,
suspend disbelief, I guess.
yeah, no doubt. I will say, like, for as mediocre of an episode as it was, I did appreciate John McGiver's, like, he really dedicated himself to just being an outright asshole.
Oh, all in. He was
Like,
all in. He was
oh
great. I
yeah,
mean, the performances were fine. I mean, they were really good in some cases. Like they weren't like, Oscar winning, but I mean for Twilight Zone, I thought they were fine.
yeah,
It was just the story.
yeah,
It's
no,
just like
absolutely. And I
what
did it,
happens?
yeah,
Nothing.
no, absolutely. And even like I say, the coworkers that are out and about, like I did enjoy their kind of cracks and takes, because everybody
Yeah.
works with that one guy, but it just it didn't move the story. Like you're kind of getting that oh God, eye
He's an
rolling
asshole.
pain. Right,
It's
100%.
reinforcing the fact that we already know by that point because he's already been in there dictator dickhead to his wife. Yeah, but I agree. Whenever the I think it was like two times, maybe three times, we were with the employees for a few minutes. That was the best moments,
Oh
and
yeah,
by best I mean
serviceable.
king shit on Turd Mountain kind of best.
I didn't expect them to throw a dart into the guy's face, like into the pitcher's face. That was
The
I don't
only
know.
reason I knew that is because that was a thumbnail,
Oh, okay, yeah, that
or
makes
for
sense
where I
then.
watched it. Yeah, it was a thumbnail of like a
Nice.
picture of him. Like, where'd they get that picture to?
The
Because it's
other
like this picture, exaggerated picture of him, and like with a dart in it. Yeah.
the other thing I appreciated was so for some reason, like we said, he's obsessed with like the sea and the navy and
Hmm.
anything naval related, battles and the whole 9 yards. He references Lord Nelson with Trafalgar, the Battle of Trafalgar at one point. And some of the lines that came out of that part, like he's talking to his workers and he's like, let's keep an even keel there, man. Bear in mind, all of us must go aft. Climb out the old mast and in a matter of speaking,
No
set
matter
our
speaking.
sights on a new horizon.
I didn't mind that. Like that was fine, but it's like the sound part, which I mean, it's all about sound. They have to have sound. I would have just had him playing music really loud. It was really weird how
Yeah.
he didn't play. Well, he didn't play a lot of music. He played sound effects.
Oh yeah.
It was just like ambient noise from a war. You know, I mean, like somebody was out there recording war noise or something. That's what he listened to, and I was just like, that's taking this whole naval obsession too far. Like,
Yeah.
but when he's walking around like treating his business like a ship, like he's a fucking Jack Sparrow pirate or something, that's fine. But we still got the idea that he was a dick. But the whole noise thing, he should have just been playing like music real loud or something.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind
'Cause-
of the way that this thing started up. I assumed that it was going because I don't remember this episode. I assumed
right,
that it was going more towards something involving the sea. Like, he gets, pulled onto a ship and, all of the noises in real life are
or
too
like
much
too
for
much.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you want to be a naval captain, huh? Boing, now you are. I don't know
exactly.
what to do.
That would have made it, and not to say that would have made it better, but that would have at least made it a little bit
Yeah,
more
no,
interesting.
that would have made it better.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
when
I
you
guess it would have been a different. I don't really know what they were going for besides showing that this guy was a dick and he got his kind of sort of comeuppance. The whole sounds thing was just like whatever. It would have been better if, like, he was just because it never specifically said if he was in the military, like in the Navy. So if he was just one of those pricks who like acts like they always dreamed of being in some like position like that, and they run their life as if they were, but they weren't, and then suddenly he was put into it, and like in a battle or something,
Mhm.
and saw how much of a little person he was. That would have been better.
It actually does say that he was a former serviceman of the U.S. Army, so he
Oh,
did.
okay.
But you know, if you
No, it's,
it's one of those things that's not it's not terribly stated very well, but
I assumed he was, but as we were
yeah.
talking, I was like, I guess it never said, but maybe it did. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the picture on the wall where they shot the dart into, I think that was maybe him in service. I don't know.
That man, he just went to fucking glamour shots and got that picture made. He got
Whatever.
like a background drop. He's like,
His next one was like a tasteful boudoir.
mm-hmm. Get the marble background. Get the cityscape from the 80s.
Oh, there you go. There you
They
go.
probably got him like a collage where he's got like a picture of him and then like the 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 feathered out picture
Oh,
circling
yeah.
his face. Like,
They gave him a tasteful toupee,
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
a speedo with some tassels on his nips. Yeah,
I
that
just want to say I used to be a photographer in a studio like that, so we did. I've done
a
those
tasteful
shots,
boudoir shots.
those shots of like here's like the family or like two people and then like a cutout of the one person. Like people love that shit. As corny as it looks, I've done those a lot.
They-
A long
they-
time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
oh man, you know what? It's incredible how tastes change like that. But
Hmm.
there was one. There was one other thing that he yelled at his co or his workers that really was funny, and it was a couple of the reviews were kind of pulled it back in. Idle hands make for an unproductive poop deck.
Yeah, the poop deck. The poop deck.
I don't know what a poop deck is, but
It's
you
like
shouldn't
the
have.
what?
You don't want your idle hands to make it unproductive. So
No, you don't want your idle hands playing on the poop deck. I've
yeah,
heard that before. I know it's a nautical term, but come on, man. You couldn't come up with something better than poop deck. Just because it's accurate doesn't mean you should use it.
exactly. I don't think I don't know what it relates to, but and I gotta tell you, I always thought it was man the torpedoes, not damn the torpedoes.
Yeah, it's dab torpedoes.
Yeah, I
I
never
did know
knew
that.
that. You got one up on me, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, well, that sets me above and beyond.
Hey, you got to step up on me. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to talk about with this. Like, it's just such a, I don't know, final thoughts on this interesting episode, I guess.
Interesting.
Interesting and massive quotes. How about that?
Okay, so my final thoughts on this episode, this glorious sounds and I don't even remember the name of it now.
Sounds and silences.
Yeah, sounds and silence. It's this is I mentioned I think I don't remember if we were recording or not. This is like the most nothing burger we've ever watched. It's not the worst episode in my opinion, but it's not good and it's just nothing like nobody in particular is bad, but just nothing happens. Like nothing of any real consequence in my opinion. Like nothing intriguing, nothing engaging. It was just boring.
Yeah.
And to the point, like I, literally, when I'm not making jokes. When I sit here and I'm like, oh, I don't remember that. I watched this afternoon at like 4 o'clock. That was like 5 hours ago. I watched this episode, and I did watch it,
You weren't
but
in your car?
no, I wasn't in my car. I was off today, so I
Oh.
watched it like at the kitchen table, and like I just there's parts of it that literally are like seeping out of my ears. Like I want to keep them there, and it's just like falling out. Like it is such a nothing episode. I'm sure it's got somebody out there who loves it, but good for you. I
Yeah.
didn't. It just what this episode sucked.
Yeah, I would agree.
I hate to say that about Twilight Zone. I love the Twilight Zone. Didn't love this one. This is, and I'm afraid that like the net. We don't even have 10 episodes left, but all the episodes from here on out, I'm afraid they're gonna be not great. And I think I think I mentioned this last week. It is that whole hey, we know we're on the way out the door. We have an obligation. We're contractually obligated to make 36 episodes or whatever it is. All right,
Yeah.
just get these out there. Because I mean,
Yeah.
who wrote this and said? I mean, Rod Serling wrote it apparently. Who looked at this and said, "Yeah, that's good."
That's the thing.
That
I
that
can't answer
fits
you.
in with all the other episodes we've done. I mean, shit.
I mean, it goes to show you the fact that if they were stuck in litigation with this thing, like if in 1961 it was, rejected, and then they're like scrambling to come up with 36 episodes, and this is one of the ones that maybe they had left over.
Yeah.
Well, here,
Or
hang on.
something.
I've got the companion. Let me see if there's anything more, because there is technically speaking 2 pages in the companion on this.
Yeah.
On So with every episode there's a little blurb about like about a side box that talks about like, okay, when did it air, essential
I
details.
I do like how in the litigation piece it says a script was originally submitted to producers and rejected. Following the first screening of Sounds of Silences, the original author successfully sued Rod Serling because of similarities of the plot and was awarded blah blah blah. So it says the original author twice. It never says what this original author's name was, and I don't blame them. They're
No.
probably like, I mean, I see an opportunity to make some money, but I ain't wanting people to know that I wrote this.
Oh, agreed, 100%. Yeah, so it was forgotten for 2 years, and then
It's forgotten longer than that. Don't worry.
no, no, that is for sure. So it's forgotten for 2 years, and then Serling wrote Sounds and Silences based off of whether it was based off of that or I mean it had to have been based off that to some extent, but the script that was originally used was called The Sound of Silence, and then you've got
Hmm.
Sounds and Silences. So yeah, that's really but yeah, on this in the companion, there's like a blurb at the bottom, like the bottom fourth of a page talking about like the essential details of this.
Yeah.
The next 2/3 of a page, no, sorry. The next like say 7/8 of a page is like the open and closing narration, and then the little blurb about like the ins and outs or the narration or what the story is about. And then there's this tiny little bit at the end where it talks about the behind the scenes stuff, and that's literally just the whole the litigation stuff, which is more interesting. The fact that the guy only got $3,500 for this, I think he was overpaid.
Yeah, definitely. Even nowadays, what was all right? It was 3,500
In 1964.
in 1964. About 32,000 dollars.
Holy shit. And he
Yeah.
was way overpaid for that.
Yes. I could write more than I could write better than that.
Yeah.
It's 32 grand. I'd take 20 grand and I'll write you a bunch of shit. I'll write 36 episodes of shit for 30
It,
grand.
it kind of feels like an improv thing where, you're given like a person, a subject, a line, all that kind of stuff. And they just basically took those and just kind of ran with it. I will say, like, when this started, because I looked up beforehand where it sat with IMDb and Paste, and I kind of thought, well, we kind of take those things with a grain of salt because our list is certainly not the list that you get with, you know, with like
Anybody
I
else?
am anybody. Yeah, exactly. Our list is diverse. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I went
That's
in
kind of
look.
like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I went in looking. It's like, okay, well, the first was funny. You kind of got the humorous bit, and it's like, okay, where is this going? That's not an episode I'm familiar with. And then it just died, and all premise for or all hope for anything that was interesting went out the window like something from Perchance to Dream. It fell 38 stories to its death and never stopped.
uh,
It's still falling to this day.
for Chance to Dream is a masterpiece compared to this.
Oh yeah, that doesn't take much.
I mean, coming from me though, that's
That is true. That's high praise. On that note, we should probably have you do the closing narration.
oh yeah,
Unless
yeah.
unless there's anything else.
Nope,
Nope, I
there's
don't have
not.
anything really
There's
specifically either,
nothing
so
else I got on this.
nope.
It's just, I would like to add, it's not specifically about this, but about tonight. I'm going to throw a conspiracy theory out.
Okay.
I don't think, because I mean, I'm close enough. I'm just a few hours away from where Nick lives, and he's further south than me, so it's warmer. I don't think his power's out. I think he's sitting there laughing his ass off right now because he watched this episode and said, I can't do it. But you know who will? They will.
That's right. Those
I think his power's going to magically come back on as soon as we're done, and we let him know, hey, we're done. Oh man, my power just came back on. Oh yeah. I don't think He's not without power. He's
So
just,
are we
I don't blame
saying
him.
that Nick has idle hands and it made for an unproductive poop deck?
Yeah, definitely poop deck. This was the poop deck. This episode. Yeah. So Nick, as you're editing this, I know. It's
Yeah.
okay. I get it. I'm not hating. I
Yeah.
just would. I should have thought of that. I may have been like, oh, I'm just feeling well. But
So that would have
anyway,
left me all alone to do this episode all by myself, and it would have been like 5 minutes long. I would have been like,
that's probably
demon.
about as long as anybody's gonna tune in to an episode about this episode anyway.
Fair
I feel like
point.
I don't know if anybody watches this episode and then goes, "Let me see what somebody on the internet thinks about it." They're probably like, "I don't care what somebody on the internet thinks about it," because there's not a world where they can say anything that's gonna make this interesting.
No.
Hope not though. Watch, this will be like our million viewed episode.
Yeah, this will be like Uncle Simon did pretty well too. So, and that was
Yeah.
such a kind of a middle of the road episode.
Yeah, it was better than this one. But
Well,
yeah,
that doesn't,
it was kind of
like you said, King Turd on top of Shit Mountain.
yeah.
But
All right,
John
so
McGiver, we love you and your we love you and your 10 kids and your ability to
giving.
scream loud. And that was one other real quick little interesting thing. The sound effects in this, when they started going to strictly sound effects, I I don't know how I feel. Like, I'm always a fan of adding sound effects to a thing. It adds some extra dimension, it adds some depth. It's something additional just to make your experience more pleasant.
Like the water
This,
dripping and stuff.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
just, oh my God, it's not even consistent. It's like they couldn't, and I know that the technology was what it was, but it's like, come
Well,
on, guys.
Foley artist. I mean, that Foley artist
Oh,
was a an intern.
yeah. He was a masochist, I tell you. He wanted to
That
make
Foley
us
artist
suffer.
was an intern for a different. He was there for a different internship, and the other intern for the Foley artist called out that day, and they said, "You come over here." He's like, "Well, I'm not an intern for Foley. I'm an intern for camera work.
He was an
cameraman.
accounting intern.
I'm an accounting intern. Yeah, I'm crunching numbers over here. See how we can get the rest of these episodes out." And he's like, "Yeah, make some sounds." So he's like sitting there like making water sounds.
What does it say when Wile E. Coyote is more like the noises that come from a Wile E. Coyote cartoon are more
Yeah.
subtle than this?
That says that this episode sucked. It did.
All right,
He's
hit
always
us.
like thinking that the episodes are bad, and he's like looking at me, and I'm kind of like, I mean, his eyes were terrible. You should have been. If nothing else, Nick, you would have got that tonight, because
Yeah.
I feel fairly confident Nick did not enjoy that. I know he didn't. That's why I called out. But
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on the conspiracy theory, though. I
he'll
think
come on
it
next week
works.
and be like, I loved it.
It hit me where I live.
Yeah, it touched me.
John McGiver was in my soul.
Touched me in places I haven't been touched since kindergarten.
He impregnated my soul, and I now have his spiritual baby.
Yeah, he's just awesome all over the place. Okay, closing near.
Actually, this is like he died 50 years ago today, or 50 years ago this year. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, he died in 75, I
Oh, yeah, in
think.
75. In September.
Oh, damn it. Well,
So,
wake me
almost
up
there.
when September ends.
Yeah. Wake me up when this episode ends.
Well, the episode can no longer hurt you.
Well, yeah. Show
It
me
will
the
no longer work or mess with your poop deck.
point to where it hurts you. Okay. In 1961, a script. Oh, wrong one. When last. Whoops. I'm going to do a dramatic read of the litigation. A script titled The Sound of Silence was submitted to the producers and rejected.
I gotta say it right. And rejected.
And rejected. Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, all right.
These are their stories. The stories of many seamen who like poop decks.
This is the story. The story of seamen. Many seamen.
Full of gristle, or 220-pound seamen full of gristle.
50 pounds of semen. Fucking bukkake.
Gristle, lung tissue, and
Oh,
sound
God.
decibels.
How did they get so much semen? It's a penis stretcher, I tell you. All right. For real this time.
Oh my god. Those semen substitute volume for substance.
Volume. Wow.
Okay, done.
Uh, so much volume.
Oh man. That gristle was girthy.
Gristle. Okay. Oh shit, I almost did it again. When last heard from, Mr. Roswell G. Flemington was in a sanitarium, pleading with the medical staff to make some noise. They, of course, believe the case to be a rather tragic aberration. A man's mind becoming unhinged, and for this, they'll give him pills, therapy, and rest. Little do they realize that all Mr. Flemington is suffering from is a case of poetic justice. Tonight's tale of sounds and silences from the Twilight Zone.
You know, I love Rod Serling, but I don't think that we were looking at the same story.
No. I mean, that story sounds more interesting than this story.
Yeah,
The story of
I
him
want to
being in the
read that
sanitarium.
story.
Yeah. The
Oh
story
man.
about the copious volume of semen that we just came up with.
And idle hands on the poop deck.
Yeah. Idle hands on the poop deck of volumetric semen.
A volume and substance of semen.
Yes. Tons.
Oh my god. Okay, so up now. Okay, I sent the ranking
Yeah.
list through
Mhm.
Twitter, so as long as you've got that there.
We did. I have it.
So we are at the point of the podcast where we talk about semen. No, sorry. I mean
Been there.
the Twilight Zone ranking list, which is something that Rod Serling would really enjoy, along with gristle and lung capacity.
Bristled semen.
um yeah, so it is the greatest ranking list put together by three people, one of which is absent tonight. But just for reference, where do you think this fell with
Oh, yeah.
Paste and IMDb?
Oh my, IMDb is usually higher. I'm gonna say IMDb, which the past few have been in the hundreds. I'm gonna say this one though. I'm gonna go low and say IMDb did. Let's go with 30. That neighborhood for IMDb.
So 30, not 130, but 30.
Yeah, 30,
Okay,
not
all
130.
right.
I could be totally wrong. It's probably gonna be like 150. Oh wait. That's wrong direction. 130. 130.
130?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right.
Yeah,
Just wanted to double check.
130. Yeah, let's say 130 for IMDb, and then let's say 120 for IMDb and 130 for Paste.
Okay.
Yeah.
IMDb had this at 155, so that's one off the very, very basement
Damn.
floor.
Wow. Where's Paste?
Pace had it at
156?
143, and their kind of little description thing was this episode about a man who loves loud sound to the detriment of his loved ones is given a taste of his own medicine, never gets its premise off the ground. Instead, it experiments with different forms of easy irony for the protagonist. First, he hears everything down to the quietest noise, then he can't hear it all, etc., etc. That is until we reach the simplistic and sexist finale, which
What?
I don't. I think because he could tune out his wife, like he was saying that he could control his wife, like the sound of his wife's voice, they're considering that to be sexist, I think.
Come on.
It was that there's not enough here to she threw it back just as much as he did.
Yeah.
They were clearly two people that had been used to fighting their entire lives. And
I don't think it's a sexist thing. I think
no,
he's just an asshole.
no,
He's just, like,
exactly. He did it to
nagging.
everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I can kind of see like where someone could get the idea of it, but no, I wouldn't dog this
Well,
is
you know, I'm
sexist.
happy they got something from this episode.
Yeah.
It's more than I got. So who
No.
am I to disparage that?
Yeah, no doubt. We couldn't damn those cannons at all, man. We had all those seamen, they weren't gonna get any,
Nope,
no,
no
no
rest.
idle hands on the poop deck. All right, so for us, where do we want to place this thing?
144.
You know what? No, I'm actually 100% okay with that. Like, if it had gone in a different direction, like based off of that first, say, 4 minutes, and it would have gone off and he would have been put in his place by having to go on a ship and try and, lead a crew and stuff, then yeah, it could have been something really
Mhm.
interesting. But where
Yeah,
it
like have
literally,
them making a lot of loud noises that he didn't have control of,
right.
and him being like, "Shut the fuck up." That would have been interesting, and also putting him, having somebody treat him like he's on a ship because he is on a ship. That would have been interesting. At least
Right.
more interesting than this, for
Yeah.
damn sure.
Or even going in the perspective of like, or in the route of like where he's such a fan of ships and everything else, and having to be on that, and maybe because he had been on a ship they weren't going to go that route, like he's lived that life, but
Yeah.
the way it goes, it just, like, the guy has mother issues and he transferred that shit to his wife according to the psychiatrist, and it's like, okay, yeah, great. But no, I am 100% good with putting it at, do you think it's okay, so this is me being like trying to upset the apple cart. Is it better than Trouble with Templeton?
Yes.
Okay.
For me, I mean, okay, so I thought I was looking at this a few minutes ago. I look because I went straight to the bottom. So I was
Oh yeah.
like, for me, that's my first with this one. That's my first reaction. And I was like, Trouble with Templeton actively. I've said that so many times. Actively pissed me off. Static. That's the one with the radio, right? The old
Yep,
guy.
that's the one with the
Yeah,
guy. He's kind of like nostalgia brain kind of.
that is quite possibly even more nothing than this. It's on the same level of nothing.
Hmm.
Um, honestly, I would probably put no, 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 no. That's fine. Yeah. I don't know. The jungle. Uh, I might actually say put it at 145.
So below.
144, 145, because I'm not sure if the jungle is better or worse. The jungle just, I think the jungle pissed me off because it had potential.
Oh yeah.
Like the base story, the idea, the coffee napkin or diner napkin idea is like, okay, yeah, that's cool. It was just so terribly done.
Yeah.
I can't say that anything here is like terrible. The sound design isn't great, but I mean, beyond that, like really, I can't say anything's terrible. Just the story's terrible. So it's kind of like an opposite of that other one. This one's not done terribly. It just doesn't have anything to do. The
Right.
story's just not there. So no matter if you had Academy Award win, well, you do have Academy Award winning people working on it.
Hmm.
But if you just had like all the talent in the world is not gonna, you can't polish a turd.
No, agreed.
And Static or the Jungle had a neat idea, but just was bad execution. So it's kind of like the adverse of that. But I gotta say, the Jungle, at least, even though it was not good in the slightest, on an entertainment side, I'd rather watch that than this again.
I could see it.
I mean,
I
because
I'm
at least it had something happening on screen. It didn't always make sense, and some of it was like, the fuck is that? Like the cab driver that dies and stuff. It's like,
yeah.
what is going on? But this one, I didn't even ask those questions. I was just like, think they they filmed something.
The camera was turned on.
Yeah, they turned the camera on and people
Yeah.
said words. That's
See, I'm
it.
not sure because I would almost, in my mind, I almost equate this with black leather jackets. Like, you have kind of an interesting concept, but they
Mhm.
do fuck all with it.
Yeah,
And I'm,
and that's why Black Leather Jackets is right there above the Jungle because I
yeah,
think I think Black Leather Jackets was more coherent than the Jungle.
yeah, oh yeah,
Um, so I do think it was better than the Jungle. But quite honestly, I mean, now as we talk about it, I think maybe instead of 144, I want to put it 145. But it's I'm not the only
yeah.
one.
No, no, I think you've got a good point. I mean, it's at the bottom of the list, and I know when we talk the top of the list, there is that,
Nuance.
is it, invaders or the shelter or
I don't think
monsters
we
doing
have it in
maple.
us to argue that much here.
No, 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 definitely not. But I'm saying that when you get to the bottom of this list, you're picking between poison ivy and poison oak.
Yeah.
It's not really, that um I mean, unless it's bottom, like below Trouble with Templeton, a point or two up or down isn't going to make a ton of difference.
Yeah. And I don't think I still think Trouble with Templeton is the worst.
Yeah.
It's me.
Oh, I could see it. I could see it. Yeah,
I
I would say 145, I think would probably be pretty right on for this. Just because, again, there was potential to do something, and the amount of desperate elements that were put together in this thing, they made no
mm,
sense. There was no twist. Like their supposed twist was a guy whose world was being torn apart by his wife leaving him, and that was literally the twist. And his
yeah.
reaction was to like crawl back into the things he had to deal with as the trauma he dealt with as a kid, and then him trying to overcome that, and it goes in the opposite direction. That's really all it is. And I mean, outside of the hilariously like exact words of Serling at the open, and
Yeah.
how like that was the only that and the coworkers were really the only redeeming thing in this for me.
Yeah, I didn't it didn't do it for me at all. And like yeah, it's just I don't know, man. I'm sitting here looking around and I was like, am I wrong? And sometimes I'll like jump up a few because maybe there's another one that I feel like is too high or too no, here I feel like 145 is just right. See, Nick, when you're not here, we're much more agreeable.
Well,
Just
that
playing, just
this
kidding.
isn't really an episode that requires a lot of fighting,
No,
it's not
no. I
monster.
think Nick would probably agree with us.
It would be close in if it's not the same.
Yeah.
All right, so new number 145 is Sounds and Silences. Number one is still Eye of the Beholder. 147 is The Trouble with Templeton. And crap, I completely lost track. Oh, number
121.
121 is A Piano in.
The house.
Play those funky seamen, white boy. Oh my God. Just to hit an hour, Nick's gonna have to leave that entire thing in there.
I'll go more. Yes. Yeah, sorry about the and that was I think I mentioned this earlier that like when we start well, right as I was done watching this one, I remember getting up and the first thought I had was I'm gonna have to like apologize at the top of the show to everyone for having such a short episode because there's not shit to talk about here
Yeah.
like at all. So I'm actually surprised however far we got into it that we actually got that far.
Yeah. I mean, I think you get conversating about, I mean, there's that you kind of equate other stuff in, and I don't know. I mean, there is stuff to discover, but it's not exactly related to this episode.
No, it's there's nothing. Man, this episode sucked.
Yeah, no, it
This
wasn't good.
just sucked.
There was nothing really all that great about it. Jake, where can folks find you?
Uh, well, I live in Alabama. Yeah, you can. I still have the two YouTube channels, Jake Avengers Reviews and Jake Retro Jake XY. You can find my old stuff there. Haven't released anything in quite a while. Um, as I say every week, I plan on when the time is almost right. When the time is right, something new will come, and we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I'm focusing on other things right now. I'm not done with content creation.
No, that's cool. Your poop deck is still shiny and ready for
It is
use.
very clean. The poop deck is real clean.
Good. That's
Showered tonight
excellent.
and everything. Real clean.
For Nick, whose channel this is posted on, obviously, check him out for regular reviews. Movie Emporium is the place to check out. I know he's doing Severance. Beyond that, I can't tell you
Mm.
much. I think he kind of
It's a
picks
good
reviews.
show. I
Oh,
just
very
started watching season one last night
nice.
because he's been telling me for the longest, watch Severance. Have you watched Severance yet? I get that text every now and then. Have you watched Severance yet? Just randomly. I'm like, no, I had no idea what it was. I watched the first like three or so episodes. It's a really, assuming it keeps on going with the momentum it has, it's a really neat show.
Everything
So
I've heard about season two is pretty banger too. So
yeah, I mean, I've heard it's good. I mean, I think it's ongoing right now, but
yeah,
yeah, just season one at least, the first few episodes is really cool.
yeah. So definitely check out Nick's reviews on that. As for me, my channel is Trivial Theater. Right now I am getting back into content creation. I got a different computer, so I'm in the process of trying to get all that stuff figured. Upcoming reviews will be for a very interesting little movie called Vegas in Space, and from there, some short form riffs as well as
Vegas
reviews.
in
So
space.
Vegas in Space. Not the movie you think, but quite interesting.
Vegas, like Las Vegas,
Yes.
like a space faring Las Vegas.
Sort of. Actually, it's a planet. Well, it's on a planet.
Planet Vegas.
It's on the well, it's Vegas in space, located on the planet Clitoris.
Oh man.
Again, it's not what you think.
Oh, really?
I
It's
guarantee.
still not what I think?
No, it's definitely not what you think.
Okay. All right.
But
I'm intrigued.
yeah, let's see. So yeah, definitely if you're still here, thank you for watching. Make sure to check us out on audio formats and keep your eyes out for the next episode of the Fifth Dimension and Twilight Zone podcast. And everybody out there, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time, bitches. Keep the poop deck clean.
Yes.
Keep those idle hands productive.
Clean that poop deck. Always clean the poop deck.
Damn those cannons.
For the copious amount of semen.
Avoid the gristle.
The gristly semen that's coming to a poop deck near you. Yeah.
And that sentence right there is better than this whole damn episode.
Yes, it is. That evokes more emotion and feeling than anything in this episode.
Oh,
What emotions and what feelings? Yeah, that's a question you got to answer for yourself. But
my colon will
we-
never
we don't-
recover.
yeah, we don't know how to end these things.
No,
We end up on
we're just gonna keep gabbing.
dick and fart jokes. Poop deck jokes.
Poop deck.
And we
Penis
didn't do the penis
stretchers.
stretcher thing.
I was gonna say.